My name's Ann Akey. I'm a science teacher here at Woodside High School, and I teach the environmental analysis through chemistry class in the Green Academy. And I'm perhaps the Green Academy member who's been with the program since its outset. My pronouns are she and her, and I guess Aya.
My name is Phil Hopkins. I am the physics teacher within the Green Academy. This is actually my first year, so I'm the other end of the spectrum from Ann. So first year teaching in Green Academy, and my pronouns are he, him.
Alton Lee. This is my fourth year with the Green Academy. Currently, I teach a class entitled Water, California's Liquid Gold, which is the class that every 11th grade student in the Green Academy takes. I use he, him pronouns, Asian, immigrant, queer.
We were invited by the administration back, and this would have been probably in 2008, 2009 school year, to come up with a proposal to build the academy. We had a successful environmental science program at Woodside, and at that point, 5 classes of environmental or AP environmental science. And at that point, the state was offering funding for schools to start academies that were, in their words, clean and green with an environmental focus. So the administration went out of their way to propose it to me and a few other teachers they knew were interested in environmental issues. And we took it from there. So our first graduating class was in 2012. It's a 3-year program.
One thing that we have is we have a lot of students that are just very interested in environmental science, right? And because the student interest was there, we were trying to meet the needs of students and make sure that we can help set up the leaders of tomorrow with like the knowledge and understanding and skills to help make a change, because we need to address some of the environmental issues that we're dealing with today.
Part of our pitch with the Green Academy is that classes are significantly smaller with a core group of teachers who could potentially follow them for 3 years. That becomes a big selling point for some of our kids, especially our kids who feel like the traditional school setting of 30 kids and 5 classes doesn't necessarily bring out their best.
Our students take 4 of their classes together so that they are with the same people year after year in the small groups. There may be 2 sections of each of these classes, but they're thrown together again and again and again. And so there's this wonderful opportunity to build community. It's not like the class you go to 1 period a day and only 1 out of 4 years. This is a very different feel when you walk into an academy class. We do have a school garden, and that was something we were able to develop at the onset with a donation, a large garden that students work in. And we do a lot more field trips than most programs here at school.
A lot of students talk about like the field trips they take and then how that's kind of like worked into their classes. For instance, all the juniors, all the 11th graders take a trip to Yuba River, and they get to raft down the river and learn about like the ecosystems there. I know Mr. Lee was testing, I think, the pH of the water, and students were collecting samples to look at like, oh, what are the different kinds of insect life that exist in this water? What can that tell us about the environment in and around this area? And so the students like get to experience those things hands-on, and it's not just in a classroom looking at pictures of these things. The students really enjoy like the being out there, right? Experiencing the world and how that ties back into whatever they're learning in their water class or in their soil science class or their physics class, right? The experiences of going out and then coming in and then working with like a small class size, right? That small group that we've mentioned. I think that kind of like helps them kind of focus in on the content when they're in the confines of the classroom.
There are some experiences that many of our students do not have access to unless we offer it to them here. For example, the rafting trip that we're talking about, a lot of the experiences that we give them are oftentimes experiences that they may not be able to get on their own, or that's not necessarily kind of in their realities to be able to access, right? So kids come back and tell us, oh, I've never rafted before, or I've never done this before, or I've never been to the ocean before. It's not unheard of. And, our ability to give those experiences to them and to show them a bigger piece of the world actually is a very substantial part of their experience with us.
A lot of our program is career exploration focused, and Alton does much more of the organizing of this at this point, but doing job shadows, participating in a mentorship, having career roundtables, there's a real focus on helping them build their awareness of different possibilities out there. And this is something that most high school students lack. They only know those occupations they've directly encountered in their lives up to this point. And so this is a real widening type of set of experiences. And not everyone will go on and do things related to the environment. Some of them are here for the small community, and they get that and they're happy, but there are some really wonderful examples of students whose participation in the Green Academy led to a lot of related choices after they graduated.
Only certain voices exist within the environmental movement. Not every voice is represented, and certainly not the voices of folks who are affected by environmental issues the most. And that drives my work in the class that I teach. Environmental issues are justice issues. And these are issues that affect our students, whether or not they are made aware of them. And I see sort of my role as being able to bring to light some of these issues that are affecting their lives and giving them the tools to be able to do something.
It answers the age-old question of why are we even learning this? This is why. Here's what you can do with this. And I mean, when I think about when I'm lesson planning, oftentimes the phenomenon that I want to study and talk about in my physics class, can be used. I could totally use an environmental, topic. So why wouldn't I use that as my phenomenon, right? We did a unit recently on energy, and we're talking about kinetic energy and electrical energy, and that very easily segued into where do we get our electrical energy? How do we generate electricity? Oh, we burn things and that turns turbines. Oh, what are other ways we can turn turbines? Wind, water, learning about different mechanisms like that, and kind of using that as the anchoring phenomena, just kind of makes sense. It's all right, we're gonna learn this anyway. Why not learn about how it applies to you, right?
Despite all the really discouraging news about the environment, I do have hope that we can do better and that these young people are able to contribute, and they're excited about that. And that drives a lot of my interest in participating in it. It does take a lot. It does take more time. It does take a different type of teaching. It's exciting. And where it can be much more problem-based and project-based. We can talk about solutions. They go and they do interesting things. And I really enjoy the interactions we have with students and the chance to get to know them better. I often teach them chemistry as sophomores now, and then I'll see them later on in AP Environmental Science. And to watch them grow over those 3 years. I also get to take a small group every year to the California Forestry Challenge, which is a 3-day event. And we're, 24/7 together, and to just to be part of looking at things through their eyes, and the enthusiasm and the energy with which they approach their studies is very rewarding. So much of what we have done has been so specific to the resources we have and the people who were interested. But the wonderful thing about a program like this is its adaptability, is its flexibility, is the chance to take advantage and work with the local community partners who want to work with us, and to step outside of the classroom and to make have these bigger experiences. So I don't know that I have nuts and bolts type of advice, but I'd very much encourage them to try it.
Sometimes there is a lack of understanding within the school community of what exactly we do, which doesn't necessarily cause friction, right? But it makes things not as easy to accomplish. So really getting as many people involved and excited with the academy as early as they can and keeping that excitement up will allow the academy to do what it needs to do for students.
For me, I've seen part of the reason this program has been successful is the relationships that students have with each other, right? I have some students that can very heavily rely on the knowledge and understanding. Maybe one student does understand this content a little bit better, and if you can kind of leverage like the small community aspect that you have within a Green Academy, right? These students are taking classes together, they're becoming friends, right? You can really kind of lean on that and say, hey, like so-and-so is doing really, really well. Like, can you help each other out and like work on this together? And you can really see some success with within students that might be struggling. They can like find ways to blossom and really come to flourish within the program on their own.
I think it really is time to think about really deeply curricularly about the 3-year arc. What exactly is being taught in every given year and how it spills into the year after and the year after to make the curricular piece even more cohesive than we've had before.
I was meeting with one of the other instructors that teaches the senior level CTE course, the environmental design course. So I have all the juniors in my physics class, and he was mentioning offhand, like, oh, it'd be great if students knew a little bit more about electronics and how to, measure things with multimeters. So that's actually something that I tried to make a point of, and we're currently like trying to do that. So as Alton said, just like working on kind of getting the cross-curricular content kind of developed and kind of more established. Seeing what other kinds of programs we can start to do, like, okay, cool. If they can rely on knowledge that they've learned in the physics class, that'll free up time in the CTE, environmental design class. So what other kinds of programs can they do with that extra time?
I'm teaching chemistry right now, ions and ionic bonding, and my students prepared different solutions so they could grow plants hydroponically. In each solution was missing one major element that plants need to grow. So they observed what happened to the plants. Well, that ties in really nicely with their CTE, or career technical education is the acronym. Course they're taking in plant and soil science, where Mrs. Ortiz is having them run a compost pile. They're measuring their soil for the levels of these nutrients in the soil they're growing their plants in. There's these wonderful opportunities. And as Alton alluded, the longer a group of teachers works together, the more chance we have to develop these connections and refine this. And just a second thought, it's a wonderful community of students, but I'm realizing as we're talking, it gives us a chance to be a small community of teachers too, in a way that high school teachers rarely have the opportunity to work together this much and across disciplines.